Hello everyone, welcome back to Pharma E-Class. I am Priya Maurya from Smriti College of Pharmaceutical Education in Indore. So in previous lecture we had discussed about protocol for technology transfer, organization and management for the tech transfer and the project team required and responsible for overall technology transfer process. So today we will talk about production transfer. So in production transfer we will cover processing transfer, packaging transfer and cleaning transfer. So let's talk about general about production transfer. So it should be established at the outside whether the interior is to perform single batch manufacturing, continuous production or campaigns and whether the receiving unit can accommodate the intended production capacity. So consideration should be given to the level and depth of detail to be transferred to support production and any further development or process optimization at the receiving unit as intended under the development project transfer plan. So, the sending unit and receiving unit should jointly develop a protocol for the transfer of relevant information related to the manufacturing process under consideration from the sending unit to the receiving unit, as well as the development of an equivalent process in the receiving unit. So, if we talk about production transfer, so these are the various parameters which we have to take under consideration, like process information, what are the various starting materials, what is packaging material, what is cleaning procedure, etc. So let's talk about starting material. So the specification of the starting materials like APIs, excipients to be used at the receiving unit should be consistent with reference batches which is developed at the research and development team or which is consistent to the which is manufactured at the sending unit. So any properties which are likely to influence the process or product should be identified and characterized. For example, an API having the correct purity and potency may have the physical characteristic which make formulation to be registered specification impossible. So in starting material, the starting material have categorized into two, API and excipient. So if we talk about API, that is active pharmaceutical ingredients, so the sending unit should provide the drug master file and any relevant documentation or information on the API to the receiving unit, which has to be checked against the specification of the API. The following information should be provided to the receiving unit includes name of the manufacturer, flow charts of synthesis pathway, outline of the process including the entry points for the raw materials, what are the various critical steps involved, process controls and what are the intermediate product of the overall process. After that, definitive term of the API which includes the photomicrographs and other relevant data and any other polymorphic and solvent forms. After that, we will also taken into consideration the solubility profile of the API, partition coefficient, intrinsic dissolution rate for which rate the drug will get dissolved. After that, the particle size and its distribution pattern. After that, the flow property of the API, that is bulk physical properties, which includes the data on the bulk and tap density, surface area and its porosity as appropriate. And after that, water content and determination of hygroscopicity including the water activity data and special handling requirements. After that, microbial consideration which include the sterility, bacterial endotoxin and bioburden levels where the API supports the microbial growth in accordance with the regional pharma pharmacopoeial requirements. After that, various specification and justification for the release and end of time profile in case of API. After that, summary of stability studies conducted in conformity with the current guidelines, which include the conclusion and recommendation on retest date. That means after how much period the retesting will be performed for the API. After that, listing of potential and observed synthetic impurities with the data to support the proposed specifications and typically observed levels. After that, information on degradants. What are the various degraded products with a listing of potential and observed degradation products and data to support the proposed specification and typically observed levels. After that, in case of API, a potency factor must be included and it indicates observed purity and justification for any recommended adjustment to the impact to the input quality of the API for the product manufacturing, which will provide the example, calculation and any other special consideration with the implication for the storage condition and what are the various handling requirements, for example safety and environmental factor and sensitivity to the heat, light or moisture. So these all are the parameter for which the sending unit should provide the all data related to the API ultimately to the receiving unit. After API, let's talk about excipients. So the excipients to be used have a potential impact on the final product. The specification as well as the drug master file should therefore be made available by the sending unit for the transfer to the receiving unit site. The following information should be provided for all type of the excipients, like description of functionality with justification for inclusion of any antioxidant, preservative or any other excipient above the recommended guidelines. That means in this particular, what will be the list of excipients used, like antioxidant, preservative or any other kind of excipient which have to be used in our formulation should be enlisted. After that, list of manufacturer which will produce this particular excipients with various specifications, that is monograph and additional information that may affect the product processing or quality for compendial excipients, or a complete listing of a specification which include the analytical method and justification for release limit for non-compendial excipients. For excipients which are used for the first time in human drug product or by a new route of administration, the same level of detail required which is required in case of drug substance should be provided in case of newly approved excipients which is going to be used first time for the human use. After that, various special consideration with the implications for the storage and handling, including but not limited to safety and environmental factors, for example as specified in material safety data sheet, and sensitivity to heat, light, moisture or solubility. That means all the factors which will affect the quality of the excipient should be specified in the material safety data sheet, that is also called as MSDS. MSDS is also called as material safety data sheet. After that, regulatory consideration that will include the compendial status and appropriate regulatory information for the non-compendial excipients, one residual solvent or organic volatile impurities, and documentation to support the compliance with the transmissible animal spongiform certification requirements. That means any other organic volatile impurities which may affect the quality of the finished product should be mentioned by the sending unit, and ultimately the data will provide to the receiving unit. After that, depending on the type of dosage form, the sending unit should provide the relevant information on physical properties of excipients to the receiving unit, which will include the definitive form. For example, whether it is solid or any other inhaled dose, whether it is solid or it is intended for inhaled dosage form, the excipient solubility profile. After that, partition coefficient of the excipient, which include the method of determination, for example in case of transdermal dosage form. After that, intrinsic dissolution rate profile, which will include the method of determination. That means which particular method is we are going to use for the determination of intrinsic dissolution rate. After that, particle size and its distribution, which will include the method of determination for solid, inhaled or transdermal dosage form. Bulk physical properties, which will also include the bulk density, tap density, surface area and porosity, as well as where it is appropriate for solid and inhaled dosage form. After that, compaction properties. Compaction properties basically we determine for the solid dosage form where we have to compress the material. In that particular case, compaction properties will be determined. After that, melting point range of the excipient, pH range should be determined for the particular product which is intended for parenteral use or topical use or transdermal drug delivery system. Apart from that, ionic strength must be determined for the parenteral dosage form. After particularly ionic strength, the specific density or specific gravity should be calculated for the parenteral, semi-solid, topical or transdermal type of dosage form. Apart from that, viscosity and viscoelasticity is also should be considered in case of transdermal and as well as parenteral dosage form. Whenever we talk about parenteral dosage form and ophthalmic dosage form, the osmolarity is the major criteria which we have to take under consideration. After that, water content and determination of hygroscopicity, which will include the water activity data like whether it is hygroscopic in nature or not. After that, moisture content range, it is also be specific for the parenteral or transdermal dosage form. Apart from that, microbial consideration in accordance with the regional pharmacopoeial requirements as it is similar in the APIs, and other information on adhesion, support, compliance with the peel, shear and adhesion design criteria. This particular portion is basically meant for where we are going for the transdermal drug delivery system. So for today's lecture this is enough. In next lecture we will discuss the process information, packaging materials and what is the cleaning procedure and its validation. Thank you.